let's talk about your Zion Narrows backpacking trip. And what I want to know about that specifically is I've done the Narrows. I did it. Well, I did it this year in the summer, but I just hiked in like 4 miles in, 4 miles out. Super epic. One with Francis, Linda, a few other people. But you did it as a backpacking trip. Like, what did that like? Where did you have to start? And like, what were some of the highs and lows of the Zion backpacking Narrows trip? Like, it just sounds like such a dream trek to do as a backpacking.
Totally. Well, it's definitely like an amazing, definitely a dream. Definitely one of my top hikes ever. If you've done the Narrows like the normal way where you go up and then down, obviously that is super cool too and it's amazing. But I think to really experience it, you have to do the through hike. And so what happens is like you have to get permits for it. And you can only do it in like a certain window in like July, basically, because of flash floods. Because you're obviously going to be in there spending the night.
So
So
scary.
yeah, you want to have the lowest chance of flash floods as possible. Um, and so you start at the opposite end where everybody else who starts the day hike starts, and you go through, and then halfway through you set up camp, and then the next day you finish it. Yeah, and so I had not been hiking in like a long time, but I had a friend hit me up and was like, "Yo, we just had someone who bailed. We have a spot open. Do you want to do this?" And I was just like, "You know what? Fuck it, yeah." And I had never been backpacking before either, so I was like asking my dad, and he was like, "Sure, I'll give you a backpack." And then my friend also decided to come. He was my boyfriend at the time, and
Ooh.
whatever. And then so we were like, oh, we need another pack. So we got a pack from my friend who had invited me. But here's the thing: it ties back into the equipment thing that I was talking about. Like we didn't know our equipment, so the backpack I got from my friend was really nice. It was like it was a good backpacking backpack. It was an Osprey. And so it held weight properly. It zipped nicely. The material was light. The backpack my dad gave us, like, so he obviously has been hiking for forever and camping for forever. So a lot of his equipment is really outdated. Um, Not saying that it isn't now. I think he's updated a lot of it, but the backpack he gave us was like fucking ancient, and like the material was it still worked, not gonna lie. So kudos to him and his equipment. It still worked, but it was like heavier. The zippers didn't zip that well, and it didn't distribute the weight as well as the Osprey did, because the Osprey was made with like better, more modern technology, right? So
The engineering of the Osprey, the large backpack, especially for backpacking,
yeah,
is just, I feel like it's
yeah,
unparalleled.
it really is.
I hope you hear this, Osprey.
Yeah, because sponsor Just Trek.
Yes, please. I
Yeah,
am Team Osprey for
because we
show.
were carrying like maybe 60 pounds. I want to say like 60 pounds on our backs. And that's a lot. And I felt bad for my boyfriend at the time who was using my dad's pack because he was having a hard time for
He's
sure.
suffering.
And then also, people kept telling me, like, yo, all you need to do the Narrows is running shoes because you're going to be in the water all the time, which does make sense because you don't want to have waterlogged hiking boots or whatever. But if you're carrying 60 pounds and your weak ankles aren't that strong and you're rolling around, you're slipping on rocks in the water, oh my God, horrible. And so that was my experience. I have really weak ankles also. So
Hmm.
in retrospect, I should have gotten the Canyon shoes, which are like these, they make them specially in Zion for the Narrows. Like you can rent
Oh, yes, I
them.
know what you're
Yeah,
talking
you
about.
can rent them.
Adidas Terex canyoneering
Yeah,
shoes.
like you can rent them and they like have, they'll keep the water out and give you ankle support and everything. All that good stuff. Anyway, so yeah, having good equipment for that would have been good. I would have made the hike a lot easier. So it was really hard. But it was beautiful. It was nice because even though it was hot, you're like in the water the whole time. And it's just surreal because there aren't that many people who get to do the hike each day. Like it's usually just you alone in these like amazing, what the Narrows are like, amazing valleys of rock and just chasms and like,
Yes,
God,
unreal,
it's so unreal.
unreal.
And then because you're doing the through hike, you're alone. So like there would be times when I'd be ahead of the group and it was just me in this cavern, It was amazing. And then yeah, you spend the night and that's really magical because it's just so dark and you see the stars everywhere and the moon glinting off the
Oh
river.
man.
It's so beautiful. Yeah. And then the next day, there's a part kind of in between where everybody from the day hike is coming up and then from where you're leaving your camp and there's just it's so beautiful. There's like flowers coming out and um I don't know, just an unreal experience. There is one part, I will say this, where the water is so deep that there's no way you're going to be able to get through it with your backpack. So you either have to swim your backpack across and it gets totally wet, or if you're smart like we were, you bring an inner tube and you inflate it and you put your packs on the inner tube and you ferry them across.
That's what you did?
Yeah.
Genius.
It wasn't me. It was one of the people on the trip who brought an inner tube. And the funniest part was they brought the inner tube for fun so that they could float down the river. But then it
Oh,
ended up
that's funny.
yeah, it ended up being like this super useful thing that we needed. So yeah, it was excellent. But yeah, it definitely tested all of our stamina. Like, you got to hike all day in a river, camp, and then wake up the next morning and hike all day again to get to the end. So yeah, with 60 pounds on your back. So it's a lot for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like everything was a lot, but it's just
Yeah.
that 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 hike is just so unreal. And you did it as a through
Yeah.
hike. And I know about that through hike. It's just the adventure of like a lifetime, I feel like, for a lot of people,
It totally was. Yeah.
Going through a canyon, fording through a river is just that's like what they do in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like,
Straight up. It was pretty spiritual. Yeah. We
yeah.
were adventurers for sure. It was good times.
Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks of the Narrows over the summer. I didn't get to go all the way to the subway. You know that section, the subway, which is like the narrowest part of the trail or the Narrows.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
talking
No,
about?
totally. Ooh, that part is cool too. Yeah, you have to do
Yeah, I
it.
didn't get that
You have
far.
to do it again. You have to do the through hike. Do the through hike. That is the way to
Yeah, I
do
think
it.
if I do go back, I have to do the entire thing, and I want to experience it not as a day hike, as a through hike. I agree with you.